Hi, I'm Ed Amoroso from Tag Cyber, and I'm here with my friend Guido Ronchetti, who is the CTO of XTN Cognitive Security. And I guess I should say ciao. Well, welcome to New York.
Ciao, Ed.
Nice to see you. How are you, Guido?
Nice to see you.
Hey, let's
I'm
start.
good.
Tell us a little bit about XTN, and then we'll get into your background and the platform and the technology.
XTN is a security vendor focused on fraud prevention. So we came from Italy, and we are a quite young company, but with a very long experience in fraud prevention and in banking environment as well. We are a creative staff,
Right.
and we think we have some very interesting technology in our portfolio.
Well, that's wonderful. Hey, let's talk about you. So, how did you get into this? You studied computer science.
I've studied computer science, but I had quite a strange path to the security. So I started working with a sound engineer quite a lot of years ago in 2008, and till 2012 I was working in that field.
Right.
And in my spare time I was developing some secure wallet app for iOS. So I was one of the first on the iOS platform to design this kind of cryptographically secure password managers to store your secure quantities. And after that, after my first child was born, I decided to switch my hobby to my full-day job,
Right.
and vice versa. So in 2012, I started working as a security consultant, specifically on the mobile security topic. And then in 2014, XTN was born, and I was one of the first employees of the company.
That's exciting, and it's really wrapped in stopping fraud and online kind of interactions,
Yeah,
banking. And so
our
on, right?
team comes from a long experience in fraud prevention.
Yeah.
We started up in 2008, and by the time we were working as integrators with one of the biggest top 20 banks in Europe, and we had this long experience working side by side with their fraud analyst in order to design their custom-made transaction monitoring solution. And from that experience, we got the knowledge regarding how frauds works in a banking environment and what banks need from a process point of view. There are lots of people involved. That's not an easy process. There are multiple actors and multiple phases that are part of the process. And so from that experience, the team of XTN was born. And in 2014, we decided that it was time to create a company dedicated to it. And here we are.
Well, you had some success quickly, right? I think you're at the point now where you've got probably more than half the banking business in Italy, right? You guys have some 52%.
That's correct. We have
that's
about
exciting.
52, 53% of online banking users. I would say that we are well established in Italy from the banking environment perspective. And for that reason, 2 years ago, we decided to move outside Italy and to try to approach different markets like Southern Europe. We are actually working in Spain as well, and Latin America by the time. And last year, we decided to start expanding to the UK and US as well. And so that's very interesting because we are seeing the fraud phenomenon from a global perspective. And you know, each region has quite different trends going on from a fraud perspective, but at the end of the day the problems are the same. So we are seeing that our experience that comes from the European market and from that kind of needs is absolutely valuable also outside the European environment.
Now, you also do business in Latin America, I guess, a little different, right? Probably the fraud experience maybe a little different.
It's a very virulent environment, I would say. So they had a huge problem with frauds. And quite a lot of technological threats as well as traditional real-world frauds, much more related to human interaction and forging of documents and stuff like that. But From a technological perspective, they are quite advanced in what they are seeing from a malware threats perspective, for example. And they are so many, their banks are so big, so many users and so many volumes of transaction that is very difficult to approach that market with something that is usable in that kind of environment.
Now help me, is the idea here that your technology, you're analyzing behaviors? Is that more or less the way it works? You're learning from behaviors and trying to determine if something fraudulent is happening? Is that the idea?
Exactly. Our approach is to have an holistic approach to fraud prevention, and this is very important in our vision. We think that there are different layers that we can and we have to address in order to have a valuable fraud prevention flow. One of them is, of course, behavior of the user. So from the very beginning, we started using machine learning in order to evaluate affinity and anomaly signals in the user behavior or in the whole population accessing the service. But in the same time, we realized that there are other layers that are as important as well. I'm thinking about the technological layer related to the endpoints that are used to access the service. I'm thinking about the digital identity topic, that is something that is very important to verify. And I'm thinking about the business content of the transaction as well. That is another aspect that is very important to be analyzed. And our vision is that these different layers have to be evaluated together to corroborate one with each other in order to have a full picture of what is going on inside the event or the transaction that we are considering. So I would define our XTN cognitive security platform as a multi-layer, multi-channel solution, because our idea is to have a unique technology being able to correlate data coming from very different layers of analysis and different channels. Think about TPPs, e-commerce site, online banking, mobile banking, point of sales. All this information have to be cross-analyzed because your digital footprint is in all these channels in the same time. So if you are able to have a cross-channel evaluation, this will be much more precise regarding your behavior and your actions as well.
Now tell me about multi-factor authentication. That's a part of the solution. I think you call it SA.
Yeah, correct.
How does that work?
So our approach to multi-factor authentication was to design a product that was the state-of-the-art from a user experience perspective. So one of the main threats today is phishing. And this is what is a very important point starting to design SA, that stands for Smart Authentication. So we were thinking about something that could be used as a full multi-factor authentication mechanism without having any quantities that could be phished by the end user. And by that I mean an OTP code. We were designing SA to have something that could be working under the hood without anything visible to the end user and without the need of any kind of interaction with the end user. So SA is designed to be invisible, to be as transparent as possible inside the interaction between the end user and the service. And in the same time, as inside is our endpoint protection technology. And so we are providing multi-factor authentication relying on a software token app that is continuously monitored from a security perspective as well.
That's outstanding.
And includes behavior analytics as part of the identity flow we are considering.
Tell me how MORE works.
MORE stands for Mobile Operative Risk Evaluator and is a real-time risk evaluation component for mobile apps. What is interesting regarding MORE is that collects hundreds of information during the mobile app usage, and this information are passed to a server-side machine learning-driven evaluation flow that provide a very detailed evaluation regarding the risk considering that specific device and that specific moment. Our goal is to protect the service, not the app as a static asset. Lots of technology focused on the mobile apps is facing mainly client-side threats. So is focused on protecting the app from reverse engineering, from tampering, but in the client side. We are focused on protecting the service. So this information have to go on the server side, and we have to provide a full autonomous evaluation of the risk in order to simplify the risk evaluation on our customer side. So as you have seen during the demo, there is this global risk indicator that is very easy to read. Red means high risk, medium, and low risk. And then you have a lot of detailed information regarding why that risk was produced.